Guys, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about deciding the start time. Thinking about word stories. You just finished your word stories unit, and so today what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at a word story, and you're going to be deciding how to find the start time in a particular situation. So I have an example of a word story. So it says Jane arrived at school at 7:45. It took her 23 minutes to walk to school from home. What time did she leave home? So I know when I look at this that my end time, or the time that she arrived, is 7:45. Okay, so that's the time she arrived at school. It took her 23 minutes, so that's the elapsed time there. So I need to find out what time she started her walk to school. So what I have here is a larger board. I'm going to move myself over here. So I have a larger board, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to use both a number line and a T-chart. Those are the two strategies that I've gone over with you. Certainly, if you want to use a manipulative like a clock, you can use a clock instead, but I'm going to use the strategies that I showed you previously, just so you know how you can use these to help you find the start time. So let's start first with our number line. So we know that we have an end time of 7:45. So what I'm going to do on my number line is I'm actually going to put that right over here at the end, okay? Because typically when we put together our information, or when you were finding your elapsed time, you had your start time here and your end time here. So I'm going to be consistent when it comes to that. What I want to let you know though is we have to do something. We have to go backwards. We have to go back in time. Because when you find the start time, you're actually going back in time to figure out when something began. So what we're finding is when she began walking to school. So we're going to go back in time. Now this number line is pretty big, but our elapsed time is not very big. So what I'm going to do here is I can feel confident going 23 minutes. Now this time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually subtract 23 minutes to find my start time. So I can look at my minutes right here at 7:45, and what I can feel confident about is I can do 45 minus 23. Now I'm hoping you know that the reason why I have these colons here, those two dots, is because when I write time, or when you write time as well, we have these dots, they're called colons. So we have these dots here that create the separation between the hour and the minute. So this would be where an hour would be. I'm not really focusing on that because there's not an hour that has gone by. So I'm going to subtract 23 from 45. That's my minutes. So 5 minus 2, I'm going to go in my ones place first. 5 minus 2 is 2. And then 4 minus 2 is 2. So what I can do is bring my hour back over here, 7, and I'm going to say 22. So my start time, or Jane's start time, was 7:22 a.m. So that's how I use the number line for that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my T-chart, okay? So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 7:45. Okay, that's my start time. My elapsed time is 23 minutes. So let me redo this. So this is my time that I'm going to put in, and this is going to be my elapsed. Okay, so I'm starting at 7:45, but I know that's not when she started. That's my end time, but the reason why I put this here is because I'm going to subtract my elapsed time over here. Okay, I'm going to say minus 23 minutes to find my start time. So 7:45 minus 23 minutes, and I can get to the same time here. I'm going to think about my minutes only, and my start time is 7:22. So when you're trying to find, or when you're finding the start time in a word story, or just in general, I want you to think about the fact that you are going back in time. So what I want to do is I want to show you in another way, another type of problem. It's not a word story necessarily, but we are going to be given an end time and an elapsed time. So I'm going to use both my number line and my T-chart to help me with this. This time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a longer elapsed time. It's going to include an hour in there. So I want you to see how that's going to work. So my elapsed time is going to be 1 hour and 12 minutes. So that's my elapsed time, the amount of time that went by. And my end time, I'm going to move this so I have a little bit more space. So my end time I'm going to have is going to be, let's say, 11:33. And I'm going to say p.m. Remember, guys, when you're doing this, I would like you to focus on, AM and PM. If your word story is giving you that information, I want you to put that AM or PM at the end of your time that you have calculated, whether it's a start time or an end time. So our elapsed time is 1 hour and 12 minutes. Our end time is 11:33 p.m. When I'm using my number line, I'm going to put my end time at the end, 11:33 p.m. That looks a little bit messy down at the end here, but I know you know it's p.m. And I'm going to find my elapsed time, which is right here, in order to discover or calculate my start time. So I know I need to go backwards. So I'm going to start with my hours, okay? I'm going to go backwards 1 hour. So when I'm looking at 1 hour, I see 11:33 right here. If I go back 1 hour, that's going to bring me to 10:33 p.m. So I am focusing on my hour here. And this is good for me because I can easily say, okay, 11 going back 1 hour is 10. So my new time is 10:33 p.m. Now I'm going to go focus on my minutes, and I'm going to go backwards 12 minutes. So I'm going to say minus 12 minutes. Now I'm only going to focus on my minutes section. So I'm going to think about 33 minus 12. If I go over here, just write that equation. 33 minus 12, my ones place, 3 minus 2 is 1, 3 minus 1 is 2. So I can put my new time as 10:21 a.m. So I'm discovering that my start time was 10:21 a.m. I don't know what the situation was in this case, but I'm given the elapsed time and the end time in order to figure out what my start time is. Now let's use our T-chart for this. So we have an end time of 11:33. Oops, you know what I just discovered? I didn't have AM over here, I had PM. Glad I figured that out. So let's go back down here. My end time is 11:33 p.m. and my elapsed time is 1 hour and 12 minutes. I'm just going to remind myself right here, 1 hour and 12 minutes. So first I'm going to focus on my hour. I'm going to say minus 1 hour. I'm going to think about that and I'm going to subtract. I have a new time of 10:33 p.m. because I've just focused on that hour. Now I'm going to subtract 12 minutes. And I'm going to subtract just from my minutes right here. And I can discover that my start time is 10:21 p.m. Make sure you can see that. So today what you're going to do is you're going to look at both some word stories and some just general information that gives you elapsed time and start time, or in end time I should say, and you're going to discover the start time for those particular activities. As you're doing this, if you have any questions, just ask. Thanks. Bye.